I'm Nate. We're going to be talking about flip chips and how to switch your wheel sizes on the new Ripmos. The purpose of a flip chip is to convert the bike between utilizing a 27.5 or a 29-inch rear wheel. This is not to be used as a geometry or a kinematic adjustment. It is only for a wheel size. The bike in the stand is currently set up as a 29er, and we will be converting it to a mixed wheeled bike. We start by removing the rear wheel to unweight the rear end. Then we place a rag around the seat tube to prevent the clevis from scratching the frame after we remove the shock. To remove the shock, there are two 5mm bolt heads that need to be removed. There is a limited clearance on the small and medium size, so you may need to utilize a stub nose Allen key. For detailed instructions on removing a shock, please see the video linked in the description below. When removing the shock, it's important to note there are spacers on either side of the shock that are not held on mechanically. Make sure you have both of these. Once the shock has been removed, remove the flip chip bolts. The outside is a 6mm bolt head, the backside requires an 8. It's easiest to grab the back with the ball end of an 8. I like to use the pedal wrenches because they're long and they clear the frame. It also gives you good leverage. Visually inspect the flip chips to ensure the grease has not dissipated. If it has, we recommend grease on the inside surfaces of the flip chip and grease on both sides of the flip chip spacer and grease on the inner mating surface of the bearing washers. We also need to inspect the threads of the flip chip bolts. If no green thread patch is visible, please apply a Loctite 243, and then you repeat that on the other side. There are spacers that live between the rocker link and the swing arm, and they need to remain in place. I like to leave the flip chips in loosely as it keeps the spacers in place. Please be careful not to push up on the swing arm because the spacers could drop out. It's not the end of the world if they fall out, you just have to put them back in. These are the spacers. The concave and protruding pieces are inboard on each side, and they match the recesses of the rocker link. You may now install your flip chip. Visually verify that the flip chips are installed in the correct orientation by verifying the indexed mark of the flip chip lines with the corresponding graphics on the frame. Tighten the bolts by hand or gently using an Allen key. Once you are sure that the bolts are threaded in, we'll use a torque wrench to tighten the bolts to 15 Newton-meters. You will need that 8mm Allen key to capture the back of the bolt. You will also repeat this process on both sides. Next, we reinstall the shock. Remember to verify that you have the rear shock spacers in place. These go on toward the seat tube. They are held in by friction and they are easy to drop, and these are a necessary part. We have two hardware fixing bolts. The rear shock hardware is 20 Newton-meters and the front is 10 Newton-meters. For the rear titanium shock bolt, we recommend using an anti-seize on the shaft and the underside of the bolt head. We want you to use grease on the shaft of the black forward shock mount and Loctite on the threads. If the shock bolts don't line up to the hole, you can gently lift the rear swing arm as a lever to get the frame to align. I like to tighten the bolts till they just touch the frame, and then we'll use the torque wrench to finish to the correct Newton meters.